Well, hello, it's Andy Troon again. I just thought it might be nice to do a video about moulding using Oyumaru. So what is Oyumaru? It's actually a low temperature flexible thermoplastic that gets soft when you stick it in boiling water. When you leave it for long enough, it gets soft enough to take up pretty much any shape. Now, obviously, because we're dealing with boiling water here, I really want you to be super careful. Please use tongs to lift the Oyumaru out of the water so you do not burn yourself. If you are under 18 and you don't feel confident, then please get an adult to help you. We melt it with boiling water, and we take a stick or two of the Oyumaru and we put it in the boiling water and leave it. Now, the sticks look a bit like chewing gum, and once you've used the tongs to take the stick from the boiling water, using the tongs to hold the stick, you can remove a small portion of the plastic and return the rest to the hot water. That small piece is now cool enough to work in your fingers, and if you feel hard bits inside the plastic, then that's a sign for you to return it to the boiling water and leave it to soften for longer. We need to select the figure, and then using the piece of soft Oyumaru, we then push the figure gently down into the Oyumaru so that it starts to sink into the plastic, as you can see on the right hand side. You must then leave the mould to cool. Now, it's much better if you can do it just to leave it in the bottom of a sink and run cold water on it, and it cools it down really nice and quickly. The next thing to do is to take another piece of hot Oyumaru out with the tongs and gently press it on top of the previous moulding. The two pieces of Oyumaru will not stick together, and as they cool, and you need to leave it to cool for a long time, once you've let it cool, then you can pull the two pieces apart and you will see that it leaves the two impressions, both the front and the back. You can use a two-part epoxy filler like Epoxy Sculpt, Milliput, JB Weld. Mix them together and carefully press the putty into all crevices, and as I say here, with special attention to the nose and mouth. And once you've done that, you can then press the two halves together and align it and leave it to cure. Epoxy putty is also possible. A two-part mix can be used, but remember that curing generates heat which might deform the mould. So I would use something like a 5-hour or something else like that, a long time cure epoxy. I wouldn't tend to use a 5-minute epoxy because it will generate quite a bit of heat. UV resin is another thing that can be used because it's a liquid that can be dripped into the mould using a toothpick to start with, and move it round the mould again into the crevices and the eyes of the figure, and you can shine a torch or laser to cure the resin. But it's best to do this in small batches. Again, the curing it gives off heat, so you need time to allow the heat to dissipate. The result, and this is the one I've done using UV resin. It's again two parts, so I've filled both sides, cured them, put them together with a tiny bit more UV resin to stick them together, and cured it again. And as you can see, it gives a very plausible result. So once it's cured, you can gently lift the figure from the mould and remove any flash. If required, you can now obviously repeat and paint as required. The clever thing about Oyumaru is that it can be reused time and time again. All you have to do is just reheat it.